What's going on, you fine people, and welcome back. Today, Valentina is our main subject as she arrives Tuesday. Is she going to be strictly a fun card, or is she going to be competitive? Alex and I are going to break down, well, all the 6-cost cards that she can reduce in cost and in power. We're also going to talk about the newest OTA and balance patch that we had hit Marvel Snap. What did it do to affect the meta? What are the best decks? And our overall opinions on the patch. And then we're going to end it on our favorite segment, our favorite cards at every cost, whether they're good, sleepers, or Alex and I just enjoy playing them. We're going to break them down cost by cost and give our favorites. We're going to talk about that today and more on this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I am joined by Mr. Alex Coccia, and let me tell you, man, if it's not you, it's me. I feel like we're going to just trade off stories as we open up our weekly Snapchat. Now, guys, we're filming this in the brink of night yet again because I had quite the adventurous day, my friend. I decided today, beautiful day in San Diego, my friend, to take my son on his first boating experience, right? So my parents have they have a Boston Whaler, right? It's a nice little medium-sized boat, right? It's great. Super excited. The weather's fantastic. So we get, already, you know how it is as a dad, get my son on the life jacket. It's too tight on the neck. You've got, he's already pissed from that. So we get on this, man. We're just going right into this. We get on this boat and we fire it up, ready to go. We go out to the San Diego Bay. Beautiful. It's great. We get about 400 yards, and I'm just coming back from this guy, so I look like I'm fresh from sea. We go about 400 yards out there, Alex. Boom. The boat dies. Boat dies. Nothing. Not starting. Battery's dead. I'm dumb as all hell when it comes to boating stuff. I'm useless. I'm like, did you turn it on and off again? Did you plug it? And we've got yachts coming at us and boats coming at us. And have you been in a position in your life where your super dad adrenaline, inner strength had to come into play where you could lift a boulder?
I'm trying to think. I don't think so. I haven't had one of those moments where I've had to lift a boulder off anybody.
Well, this was my boulder lifting moment. This was my I don't even know what that movie was where the guy did the thing. But anyway, I
think Hercules. He lifted a huge boulder off the 2 kids that were hiding, but it was bait.
Sure, call me Hercules in this moment. I was like, I'm not dying today. I got a Snapchat to film, and my son's on board, whole family, right? So I'm like, all right, what are we gonna do? And my dad's like, hey, we got a paddle in the little whatever the underneath the boat. I'm like, great, okay. And I'm starting to think, I'm like, a paddle under the this doesn't make a lot of sense, right? I open up the under the cushions, and there's man, it might as well been. It's like a check off item to say, yep, we got a paddle on board. It was from the dollar store. I swear to God, it was this big, and you could open it up to a paddle. And on top of that, one paddle, Alex. One paddle. You know how that went?
Do you have to switch sides, or else you spun in circles?
400 yards, man, in the middle of the ocean. So I'm just I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna Gilligan Island myself. I was fully in the moment. Get the strength of Zeus out there. The deltoids, the forearms, they're absolutely destroyed. And I'm paddling, right? I'm just my dad's trying to fix the boat. I'm paddling this giant this boat, trying to get us back, man. And this is when I text guys. I text Alex, and he's like, hey, when we filming today? And I was like, I don't know how to put this. I'm in the middle of the I'm in the middle of the bay right now, trying to get my ass back home. And then I thought maybe I jump in the water, all right? And Michael Phelps, I know you're Canadian, you know Michael Phelps, you gotta know Michael Phelps, right? All of a sudden I thought maybe I could be him, pushing the boat like David Hasselhoff in the SpongeBob movie. I don't know how I pulled that reference, but how do you think that went?
Buddy, did you actually jump in the water? I did.
Yeah.
Who's the dragon from Ryan the Last Dragon who's a really good swimmer and did exactly that?
Yeah,
just pulled up tons of Disney references.
Sashi or something like that. I jumped in there. That went as well as you think it did. I was thinking Namor in there was gonna help me out, dude, to get home. So long story short, 4 hours later, my forearms are absolutely destroyed. I paddled us home, my friend, and got in the car crying baby, and we pressed record. So here I am, my friend.
Geez, mister, you're really strong.
No, I'm not. I'm really not. So it was quite an eventful day between Alex and I. We always have something to kick off the week. I can feel your sympathy on that side. I really can.
I think my response to you when you told me that you were stranded in the ocean was lame-o.
Yeah, but LMAO. I was like, good to know. Good to know. And then it was like the F word, and then it was like, you good. Like, no, Alex, I'm not good. I'm in the middle of the freaking Pacific.
Actually, what the conversation was, it's not even joking.
I could imagine Drew Barry being like, I'm stepping in today because Cozy's stranded at sea. And anyway, it's a fine day to be a Marvel snack. It's not a fine day. Anyway, man, as always, we've got ourselves a good Snapchat in store for us. We had a little bit of OTA action, a fun week in store. And we've got, I'm trying to like just get my together.
I'm crying from laughing.
Just trying to get myself together here. We got a good day in store, though, and a fun card to talk about, man. So we know what we're talking about on this side of the damn Snapchat. What do we talk about over there?
Well, Cozy, I'm glad you're here and not stranded out in the ocean. And on my side, we'll be talking about our review of White Widow. Man, did this card really come into the meta and have an impact. We'll also be talking about the top 10 must-have cards of Marvel Snap for April 2024. This is a question that, was posed to us. The idea that, like, hey, what are the cards that you absolutely have to have in your collection? We'll be talking about it in addition to our Snapchat mailbag.
All right, man, we're going to jump right into it, half because it's in the middle of the night, and the other half because we got some fun stuff to talk about. So Valentina is the card of today, and let's go ahead and start, as we always do, with the lovely Spotlight Cash. And we've got Blob and, wait for it, Noel. I want to know how much artwork of Noel is out there. I got to know, man, because this is our... Stop me if I'm 17th Spotlight Cash with Noel.
It's actually the 24th.
Oh, man, I knew I was off.
I mean, listen, I have so many Spotlight variants of Noel. I've come to the point where I'm just not, like, I don't care. I don't want the variant, man. Like, the first Noel Spotlight variant was absolutely insane. Do you remember seeing it? Do you remember the first 2 weeks of Spotlight variants and looking at those variants and be like, oh my, those are amazing variants? And then it's just been...
No, because everyone, you're like, wow, this is a cool looking variant. And you're like, it's because it's Noel. Like, of course it's a cool, you can only do so many Howard the Ducks, but Noel, man, you can reimagine that beauty anytime. He's just cool, man. He's a BA card. But either way, man, Blob, Noel, it is good cards. It's definitely not, Blob is definitely not a bad card by any stretch of the imagination. And so is Noel. But what's cool is if you don't pull them and you get Valentina first, you have the opportunity to play both of them for free. Either way, because, well, guys, if you don't know, she's a 2-cost, 3-power card with the unique ability of On Reveal. Add a random 6-cost card to your hand, but it's going to have -2 cost to it, being 4 cost, and -3 power. So, as always, we're not going to do synergies. We're not going to talk much. We're going to start with the star ratings. Alex, what do you got?
Okay, so when we initially talked about Valentina, I came in at 4 stars. Now, while kind of thinking about it and doing some more research and really looking into the synergies, I'm like, I think I'm going to fall to 3. I think I'm going to fall to 3. I don't know if I'm happy about it. Like, I kind of want it to land because I love these kind of cards. But for now, Cozy, I'm going to give it a firm 3-star rating.
So I'm going to give it a 5 in the fun department. All right, in the fun, in the fun department. I think, honestly... I might go even low. Yeah, I think 5 for fun, 2.5 for competitive is where I think I'm going to land to, because I did really start to kind of look into like what she brings. And this is one of those cards where I could give a damn about the meta or the competitive scene. She's going to be so much fun to play, and it's just going to be an absolute blast to have in Marvel Snap. And so that will be some of the focus today. But yeah, I think to start us off, like I got a lot of great things to say about her, but to start us off, Cable is arguably a better card. Like, arguably, it's right up close. You're going to be fine with Cable and a lot of what she does. And so I think that sets the floor, right? She does something a little bit different, obviously. But in the synergized decks that she has and the surprise factor, Cable's very similar. Is how I think we start that off, right? To get rid of the FOMO factor of wanting to get, a card that maybe you don't have.
Yeah, no, I think Cable's a really cool comparison. I feel like Cable, I think the disruption element's important. I think that there's snap equity in Cable that you tilt your opponent out a little bit. And it's funny that Cable went from a 2-2 to, well, I mean, Cable got changed like 6 times
Like
now
10
that I think
times,
about it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But the original Cable was a 2-2, moves to 2-3, and then Baron Zemo comes out. And these weekend missions, by the way, oh my God, I don't want to get sidetracked, but the amount of Cable I've been seeing over the last
So much.
2 weeks, I don't want to turn this into a snap therapy session here, but what I will say though is, like, I like the comparison because I feel like Valentina has a higher ceiling, but I feel like Cable has a higher floor.
Yeah, so funny enough, I almost feel the opposite. Like, I feel like the ceiling for Cable, if you take their Shang-Chi or their Dracula or whatever, is like almost crazy as well. And then Valentina, there's a lot. Like, what's cool is I have a tier list. We're gonna rank all the 6-cost cards. And if you grab them, and Alex didn't even know this, if you grab them, like, how do you feel about getting that one card? And it's funny because, the abilities are so cracked on a lot of them. But then when you start to kind of look at them, you're like, we won't spoil one, but like Arnim Zola was one. I'm like, he's -3. Your board's not set up. I'm a huge Arnim Zola fan, but like, in what instance are you going to love that in a Valentina deck, right? All the time. So it's going to be fun to kind of look at that. We'll get to that here pretty shortly. But right off the bat, man, let's talk about synergy. So I think the obvious ones, we don't have to go crazy here. We've got the Quinjet. Clearly, Quinjet's going to be fun. You play her on 2, you get to play your fresh new card right there on 3, right? I mean, that's going to be the most obvious, with Luke Cage being number 2 on the list of just synergized cards. And I think that is where she will, if you just depend on her to get you that insane card, which we'll get to those, you're going to be underwhelmed. But if she's adding to a package of what you're already trying to do and some synergy options, she's going to feel great.
There's no doubt about it. And I think one of the key packages to talk about that utilize the cards you're discussing, I mean, not Luke Cage maybe, but is Loki.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
I think this is a great Loki card. In fact, this probably takes the place of something like a Mirage, which wasn't often being used in Loki. I digress. But, there was a time when Mirage was even played. Valentina gives you additional upside. If Quinch is on the board, it's a 3, the card you just brought. So you can actually play the 3-cost 6, the 3-costed 6-cost, and then you can Loki on turn 4. So you have a really nice flow. Conversely, if the card sucks and you get the Arnim Zola you're talking about, then you just Loki it away.
Yeah,
matter, right?
It's a verb now. You just Loki it away. Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think Loki is going to be the natural home. And again, like I said to start, I think Cable and Mirage can fill the void there if not. But certainly it's going to be nice for the card generation. And with that, it's all of Loki's best friends. Collector, Devil Dinosaur, that we had that deck, with Loki kicking off for a while. I think that's going to obviously add where, Valentina post turn 4, my least favorite thing about her is kind of awkward, right? Because you got a 4-cost, 6-cost card, great. But then after turn 4, you're kind of in a weird spot, right? Like, you could play it on 5, you could play it on 6, but you probably wanted to do Devil Dinosaur or something different. And I feel like Loki really answers that for her and really helps her out. Or Devil, where she's doing something and she's a 2-3.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that because, like, she definitely does help, like, those Devil Dinosaur style archetypes. But these card and hand generative abilities, I think we have a lot of them now in the game, right? Like, we have a lot of them. You have Answers, you have Agent 13, you have Snowguard, which exists in the Spotlight cache, Agent Coulson, Nick Fury. Do you guys remember that Nick Fury exists? So you got a lot of those to help out, like the Devil Dinosaur, stuff like that. But most of them don't have that high roll potential that Valentina does. And so that's kind of what I'm most interested in. And we've been surprised by cards in the past. Like, I keep going back to my thoughts and my regrets around scoring Nico so conservatively. Because that randomness, we were scared about the randomness of Nico, and it's like one of the strongest elements of the card. It's like 6 cards in one. That's Staff of 1 doing magic, right? I just don't want to undersell Valentina, but I feel like Nico has every single ability with the exception of maybe the movement one, for the most part. They're bangers. There's a lot of cards with Valentina, as you mentioned, which, I mean, kind of feels weak to grab.
Yeah, it'll make sense when we get... I think the 3-star rating is going to make more sense when we get to the cards here, because...
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Every card has big pop-off potential, and I don't think there's anyone more excited about Valentina than myself. Still am. And the competitive front, though, if you do get Luke Cage, right, and you protect your card with power, and you have Quinjet, and again, we'll get to these cards, but you get Helicarrier. You're looking at a 3/10. Right? Just right off the rip. You get, a Scar. You're looking at a card that you can discount starting at 3 and it goes down by 2. There are some nutty scenarios but Luke Cage, Quinjet, these cards are going to be pretty important to the shell that she's in. Not to mention, she already synergizes with these other Loki cards I have on here. Mockingbird. If things don't go perfect, okay, you can end up playing Valentina on 2. Let's say you don't have a way to do anything on 3. Maybe you play Quinjet on 3 with Grandmaster. Beast. You have a way to get Valentina activated again, and then you get the Quinjet down, and then you really start to pop off a little bit. Maybe Luke Cage is your turn 3, and you go from there, right? There's, people like to say if you don't draw this, it's going to suck, but Valentina, I feel like, has a lot of different play lines if things don't go great or if they do.
First of all, I'm so happy to hear some Grandmaster coping. I tried last week with the White Widow, and I gotta tell you, I thought it was really good. I thought White Widow with Grandmaster Ravonna was actually legit. I digress. But what I'll say, though, is, okay, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I can see, ultimately, Valentina not being included in decks with Luke Cage. Because, I feel like the types of decks that want Valentina are not the kind of decks that are going to want to run the Luke Cage. Yep. And if you're running Luke Cage just for Valentina in a 12-card deck, you're going to feel bad. So, while I totally get it, and I wonder if we ever see a world where those decks are run together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I was thinking the same thing, but here's the deal, man. Luke Cage is just a good-ass card. Right? He's also just a great valued card. And I try to turn off the part of my brain that remembers him when he was a 2-cost, in the grand days. But the location love that he has, and or the ability to not worry about White Widow or, Affliction decks or things that we've seen in the past. He's not the worst card as just kind of a plug and play, but he does take up a spot. I know what you mean. If you don't have any other synergy, is his defensive capabilities enough? And in my head, I'm like, well, you Loki him away at that point, potentially, if you don't want to use them. But again, as we hop into, I think this is a good transition. Let's go into this tier list, and I think this will make sense when you start to look at the power. Because a great example is, you look at some of these, and you're like, wow, if I just played a regular 4-cost, it would just outvalue this anyway, right? So with that, let's go ahead and hop into the tier list. All right, buddy, so going in alphabetical order, we have obviously S, A, B, C, and F. I would say S is obviously best case scenario. A, really good cards to have. B, you don't mind it, and you'll probably play them most of the time. C is really situational and probably a bad play, and F is you wasted the turn. You're just not going to be playing the card you had or the worst options. And we're going to start with Agatha, who has been confirmed by Glenn, opposed to Nick Fury, to spawn here by Valentina. And you actually brought this up when we talked about this at the beginning here. So we're going to not Quinjet these, right? A 4/11, right? Yeah, 4/11 Agatha, who would play herself on 4. Is this an A?
I see that being pretty good. It does mess up your turn 3 potentially. But I don't mind that. I don't mind it. You're throwing down 11 power. Can't argue with that.
She picks where she goes. I know, because of turn 3, and she picks where she goes. And if you do it late, it's really bad, like a turn 5, kind of thing. Which I don't think you'll do much with her either way. Do we go A or B?
It's probably a high B. If we're being realistic for a sec, it's probably a high B.
Yeah, I agree with that. Not bad at all. After that, we have Alioth, which I have the old Alioth on here, my bad. But Alioth would be what, a 6/5, right?
It's a 4/5.
Or 4/5, yeah. So a 4/5, and the ability to race text, which some of the most important turns, man, is turn 4 and 5 as far as text goes on some of these cards. I think I'm fine with Alioth here. I think he's a solid B.
I feel like a high C, because that early in the game, I think it might be trickier to land the hit. If you think about the amount of setup that goes into landing a proper Alioth play, even traditional Alioth, you had a lot of ability to okay, I'm able to predict where they're going to play. On turn 4 and 5, I think that's a lot harder under most circumstances.
Okay.
Not to say it's not impactful, but I do think it's a little more niche.
Okay. This one's tough. I feel like for me, it's right there, especially if you're able to get, we said no Quinjet, but even later into the turns, I feel like having that 3-cost Alioth, if you can pull into Quinjet, would be pretty damn cool. But yeah, I agree. I think C's there. Again, old graphics, guys, forgive me. Apocalypse, who is, he's down to what, a 6/6, so he would be a 4/3? Is that a 4/3? Dude,
Awful.
this is
terrible.
This is the worst card you could.
Worst. Has to be an F.
A 4/3, dude. What is a 4/3 right now? Anything? I get a Super Scroll is a 4/2, but
Shang-Chi is.
Shang-Chi, no ability Shang-Chi. That is what you're getting with with Apocalypse.
Terrible, I know.
Yeah, that is. I would rather have just about any card there. Arnim Zola, I said a little bit. So you have a 4 -3. And I think my issue with this is you're just not able to set them up. So like,
No.
you could Arnim Zola the Valentina.
Okay, that's 5 head. Okay, now it's S. Because then you can get
Right.
2 Apocalypses.
Then you get 2 Arnim Zola.
you get to keep playing Arnim
You have
Zola
your
over
own
and over
bar
again.
sinister going. I don't think it's an F because I feel like there will be a situation. I would say maybe low C with the
I agree.
potential.
Low C. Because there's
okay.
like some very clear Fs. And Arnim Zola, you might still be able to pull a win.
Yeah, and you could get into like a location, whatever. There's some situations. Blob is interesting, right? Because Blob's a 6 -3. But if you think about Valentina decks, I'm just putting them in A for now. If you think they're not great in power, right? Like they're not gonna have massive. You might have Mockingbird, you might have a couple cards, but you don't want to eat your deck up on turn 3 or 4 and ruin yourself, right? So is this a low A because of that, but you still have the potential to hang on to him and you have a 4-cost Blob?
I don't mind Blob, but what puts him into B for me is the prevalence of Mill. Like, I think that Mill completely destroys Blob. And so, like, it's a major part of the meta right now. And so I wonder if already Blob is just seeing a complete decrease in value and then your deck's not built for it. He's already starting at -3. Like, what's he get to, like, a 7? Like, in a random deck? Like, he becomes a 4/7? Like, where do you...
Well,
I don't know,
he'll
man.
still
I
go
think
up to
it's kinda
15.
hard.
What's kind of cool is it doesn't really matter about his cost because he could stop at 15, right? Potentially. So I feel like what's cool about him is like if you look at your hand, you're like, well, I already have these couple. I can eat my deck. I already have like the play I need to make. Yeah, this one's tough, man. I see what you mean on the B tier. It's hard to. You mind if we play some low A for now? We see where we go with. It's probably gonna be B for Blob, but I definitely get your take. And definitely, guys, drop down below y'all's thoughts as well. Destroyer is gonna be sitting at a 6 or a 4/13.
Yeah.
A 4. Hold on. Okay.
For me, this is a really awkward one because you like the power, but then again, it's so shunchiable, right? Like, you would just put him on turn 4 just to get punched in the face.
Yeah, I like Kyera. I mean, Kyera is a synergy we didn't talk about with all these cards, obviously. But my thought is, yeah, you don't have a lot of cards out early. So it would be best case scenario for Destroy. I mean, I don't want to just say Shang-Chi for the answer. I get it, for sure. But this is spicy. Is this a... It's not a B, is it?
No, it can't be B
It's not
because
a
you
B.
can't even hold it late because it'll just wipe your board. It's
Yeah.
got to be like a low C. It's better than
It's better
is
than
it even
Arnim.
better than Zola. It's in C
Yes.
for sure somewhere.
It's better than Zola just because I like the early play, but I agree with you on the late play. Could be tough. But if you have Kyera, it's more interesting. It's more interesting who, obviously can't just put all these cards in the deck. But I think Kyera is an interesting synergy that we didn't touch on there. But yeah, we'll go low C for now. We're rapid firing some of this. Dr. Doom, arguably best card to get.
One of the absolute best. And
Yeah.
this is an S tier pull for sure. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, this is the play you dream of. This is you get Doom on. You have a Queen Jet down and you're playing yourself a freaking 3/2 Doctor Doom with Doom bots out and just instantly claim priority. Like you're cooking.
Yeah, you're a squirrel chasing the nut.
Yeah. Okay. We've got Galactus at 6'5". I think Galactus is a 4/2. I think he's super interesting because hear me out. Early, dude, 2 powers, nothing. But early enough, you have the shot to destroy a location. It's the ultimate content play.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, even the thing I like about Galactus too is if like you're having a rough start to the game, and you just like Galactus Death Domain and be like, what now, bro? Like, you know what I mean? I like those type of plays.
Yeah.
But as a 4/2, like just taking a shot at it, it's kind of funny. I'm not against it.
Are we low B or kind of in the C, better than Destroyer?
He's definitely more like C, but he's maybe he's maybe under Alioth.
It's under Alioth.
Destroyer. Yeah,
This Alioth isn't appropriate because it's not showing the right one. But 6/2, like I know 2 is impossible, but also there's not going to be a lot of play. I mean, you're going into turn 3 potentially. If you're playing her on curve, right? So in that scenario, I love it. We're going to try not to look at obviously like best case scenario for all of these, but Giganto, Shang-Chi bait to your point, but might be one of the best times to play this card at a 4 cost value for 11 power.
People play this card?
Barely, but I think they're going to play it more. I mean, dude, his stats, I wonder, I don't think Will it affect the stats of the card? Probably not when they're generated by Valentina.
Here's a fun fact. You use Valentina, you get Giganto, you're like, yes! And then you realize that, like, it's basically just Cull Obsidian.
I know. Well, that's a lot of these,
Cull Obsidian's probably easier to play than Giganto. You still got to play him on the left, don't you?
I think it's B, though. I do. I think that it's 11 on the left lane, but you can get him on turn. You got to think about it. It could be a 3-11 if things are going right, or even a 4-11's better than Cull Obsidian. It's better than those cards are. I think Giganto's not half bad.
He's not half bad, but you can only play him 33.33% of locations.
I guess he's actually exactly half bad because he'll be lowercase of B here. So like so he's actually like.
I love how you're just changing your mind on the fly.
You're doing it to me, man. It's this is presenting Alex Coccia's 6-cost tier list. We got Heimdall.
I don't know about this one, man. This has got to be pretty C, right?
A force. So my only thought is like, even if you're like, all right, I'm gonna 5-head and play everything with the notion that I'm gonna, because you don't want to play a 4-6. What are you doing? I mean, I guess to get in a location that's kind of hard to get, but I don't see a scenario. The only time I see this is if you can 5-head, use him last play of the game kind of potential.
No, see what you're saying is no one expects you to close the game with Maximus Heimdall.
Yeah, and since everybody's already doing that with him, I don't want to put him in F. Do we put him above Arnhem or below? Or is he in F tier?
I would. He's kind of funny. I don't think he's F. I think he's probably in C.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his effect is so bizarre that like, yeah, I think C's probably fine for Heimdall. He's not an F card. There's some more F cards I think coming, and it's not Heimdall.
And it stinks because if you could say in a world like, well, if there was a 4-6 that moved everything to the left, you would play it. Yes, but then you could build a deck with the certainty that you're going to get it. The problem is you can't do that here, and I think that's its biggest crux, obviously. And keep in mind, where things get spicy, you look at this entire list, buddy, all right? You put Luke Cage in here, and all of a sudden, all of these are going to different scenarios. Like, immediately, if you have Luke Cage, you just simply have a 6-5 Galactus, and clearly we would put that much, much higher. So, like, these all have immense ceilings, but we're looking at the usual floor. We're giving you the situation where you get Valentina on turn 2. We're not going to double code it and say you get the Luke Cage on turn 3. That's just too good. It's too good. Hela might be worse than Apocalypse, maybe a little bit less. Not worse, but it's a 4-3. And I mean, come on,
yeah, right bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, absolute terrible. Helicarrier is what made me question. I said this earlier. You have a 4-7, which is just not it's just not that good of a stat line. Now you're looking at a 3-7 with Quinjet, and that is where we can start to talk about the possibilities. Again, you're going to be getting some of these cards, whether it's Luke Cage or Quinjet with Valentina, but a 4-7 is just not going to cut it.
No, I would lean towards low B though. Well, maybe
low B.
I don't know. No, he's C. He's definitely C now that I think about it.
Helicarrier's a he?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think it's, dude. There's no way. So, would you rather Destroyer or Helicarrier?
I'd take Destroyer.
You take Destroyer. Okay. I was like, man,
I'll take Helicarrier over Heimdall.
Yes. Yes.
See, it's in the perfect spot then. It's cuddling Destroyer and Heimdall, right where a Helicarrier wants to be.
All I know is my Giganto stocks are going like way up now. Looking at some of these other options here. The Hulk going down to a 4-9, which is honestly killer because it's out of Shang-Chi range. It's a 4-9. It's not exactly Cull Obsidian, but we love our vanilla static cards at 4-9. I think appropriately a nice little B tier card here.
Yeah, I'd rather have Hulk than Blob. I'd go A. I'd rather have Hulk over Blob.
Really?
Yeah. I could just play Hulk whenever the hell I want. Right on turn 4. What are you gonna do? Shang-Chi me?
It's the 9. The 9 power is pretty attractive. Like I do like the 9 power opposed to Blob. That's always gonna be the 15, and he eats your deck. I could see that. Okay. I like he's Hulk too, so I'll give him the bonus points. Null is interesting because I don't want to put Null immediately like with these terrible cards because Destroy is super popular and you have locations. He's either at the top of F or at the very end of C. I can't decide.
I'd put him over Heimdall, honestly.
Okay.
And I know that seems like it's crazy, but there's so much Destroy out there, and just casually plopping down a Null to just ruin their day. I think that's worth something.
You straight up answer destroy deck on turn 3 or 4. Like, you know, you're like, they're like Carnage and you're like, hey, cool. Okay, so here's the lane I'm going to win. And then you just, the only thing you have to keep in mind is if you can't depend on the null to win, because if they have a null, you'd be -3 down on them, right? So you got to look out for that. But you do have great tempo against what they're going for there. So yeah, null is an interesting card just because of where the meta's at. Leader's one of those cards. It's tough. He's at 4 -1. Listen, you're copying the card, so you're actually getting immense value, especially those T4, T5s. Like, you're getting some pretty great value out of them. I definitely don't think I don't think you're not gonna play him, but I don't think you're like, I got my winning combo here with leader. And I don't know if you're gonna hold on to him either. But if they're playing Red Hulk, like, you're not mad about it.
I guess you're not mad about it, but I don't think you're excited about it either.
Is he? I think I'd rather Alliance probably than leader. I put him probably right before Galactus.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see him being better than Galactus, but like, again, I'm not like everyone in C. Like, we're not excited about getting.
Well, they're in the second to worst tier. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the thing is, leader at 6 is so pricey, right? For a risk as well. Like, you're risking a lot. Whereas I feel like, man, you pop down, like, you ever do the wave leader and you just like, whatever you do, I do, man. It's all good. Like, it's all fine. Like, I feel like there's some really cool turn copies, especially the more you know the decks. I think I'd be pretty thrilled to get leader. Like, yeah, this is tough. I think that's fine for now. Magneto, a 4/9 Magneto,
yes.
Unshunkable Magneto with the ability going on turn 4, directly affecting the turn 3 play that they did. Damn near better than Doom. Like, they're right neck and neck.
Yeah, I love them. They're both perfect cards for different situations. Both absolutely S tier, no question.
Man, I'm just like frosting at the mouth at just about playing Magneto. Just play Magneto like at a 4/9.
All that swimming today's got you frothing at the mouth.
I'm dying. I said frosting at the mouth, dude. I'm like
frosting.
Frosting. Is it frosting? Is it frothing?
It's frothing. Isn't it frothing like a?
Are you saying
a
F froth?
Eel or seal? Do seals get rabies?
They're mammals. Mammals get rabies, yeah?
I don't know, man. I'm not a doctor.
We need to find the cure for rabies and do like a 5K.
What?
Have you not
do
seen
like
The
a
Office?
marathon for rabies?
You've never seen The Office? It's cool. It's fine.
Oh, I do remember that episode. Yes,
It's a great one. It's a disease that's already been cured. Okay. Next we have Odin, who is damn near close to S tier status for me. 4/5. Because if you look at it, it's either top of A or S. Because if you look at a man, and we can almost drag an Onslaught, I don't even give a rip about their power. There's so many ongoing and on-reveal situations. Definitely Odin I would give the nod to, right? Because if you're playing in a Loki deck, you can have way more. Bro, you could play Odin on Valentina. Done.
True. It's true. Like, I do like Odin. Both of them are like situational, but both of them are like exceptional in those situations, right?
Yeah.
I still wonder, like, would I
between these
rather
two?
have a Hulk or an Onslaught? I think I'd on average rather take Hulk.
I could see a world where this is pretty good. I
Yeah.
think I would want Odin in those decks almost all the time. In the decks you're playing Valentina in.
But I feel like not. Oh yeah, true. Because the way I see it is like, how would I like this in my Loki deck? Right?
Yeah.
But I lean towards liking Hulk better than Odin. But I can see Odin's ceiling being disgusting.
And what's cool, man, like with Onslaught, is if you're playing in a Loki deck and you steal 6 of their cards, right? Like, odds are you're going to get an ongoing card, right? You would think you're going to get something where you're like, oh, man, I would have got an Onslaught down. This is going to be ridiculous, right? Like,
Yeah, this goose is going to be crazy.
this is such... No, I'm like not prepared for you today. I love it. I can't decide. I feel like, does this look right to you?
Yeah, I don't mind it. Because you know what it is? I really like Hulk. I feel like Onslaught, if you're not stealing their deck, is going to be trickier to pull off. Like, with Odin, I can see the pop-off potential. I think Hulk is such a beautiful, steady baseline. I'm happy with the way they're set up now. And I feel lower on Blob than I think most would. And I probably would take Onslaught over Blob.
I think I would take Onslaught over Blob for the burst. And what I want to say is, I think we've gone to this before, but like if Conquest mattered more, Valentina's stocks would go even more up because the randomness here, if you guys are looking at this chart, like, yeah, there's a lot in C tier. So you're looking at this and you're like, well, Cozy Alex, there's only, so many cards here, right? We only have 8 cards right now that you would even want. But I would say up until right around Destroyer, you're pretty happy. I mean, like, Galactus is just fun, but Leader, Alioth, and upwards, they're good. Like, it's a good 4-cost play for the most part. Or you ignore it in Loki, right? And so that's how I'm looking at it so far. Yo, Orca, he's +5, right? It's been a freaking minute since I played with Shamu. He's +5, I think.
Oh man, I don't remember. I think it is +5. He gets to 16. Yeah, because then the Miss Marvel combo with Orca was to 21. Yeah.
So he's 13 early in a lane by himself. Clearly, he's Shang-Chiable if you want to go that route. I still think Giganto might be better than him just because of the they're kind of neck and neck, I feel like, no?
Yeah, but you can play Orca anywhere.
Yeah. But then you can't play a card with him, right? You could continue your and then it goes down. Well, it goes down to under Shang-Chi, so you could like soul read the Shang-Chi and take him down. That's kind of nice.
I can't wait to see your face when like you get your Giganto and you're holding him and you realize the 6'11" that only plays left is almost the same as Crossbones.
Yo, I'll put him comfortably. I will put him comfortably on that left lane on turn 3 or 4 and just go on my way. And I'll worry about some other lane. That's their problem. And even more so, this damn well. What lane do opponents usually, not all the time, but it's the first revealed location. So people feel very comfortable about building up their left lane. So it's just kind of a cool, great Angela. There's 11 power, deal with it. Like, I think there's going to be situations. I'm not saying Giganto's a great card, but in the turn slot that you can play him in, I don't hate it.
It's fair. Like, it is a ton of power that they have to deal with at some point, but it's kind of crazy just to think about, like Cull Obsidian, Crossbones, and we're coping a bit saying Atuma, but like, there's cards that actually reach there, and you mentioned it before. Like, oh, is it going to be better than just playing a 4-drop that gets near these stats? Like, Giganto's close to that because of the restriction, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. We move on to a lot of good cards, man, and we start with She-Hulk, who's a 4/7. I get it. It's a 4/7. Insane. I think just anything with the energy reduction, I would have this at the lower end of S tier. And we have Scar right after. I quite honestly would put both of these in S tier because you have the ability to take them both down. Scar might be a little bit less, but the fact that you can energy reduce these is bonkers to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm surprised to see you put Scar that high.
Yeah, Scar was.
I can see She-Hulk because of the floating capabilities being an S. Like Scar, I could see going like above Onslaught in A. You know what I mean? Like, is that crazy to think?
No. It's true because when I place him, I'm like, yeah, man, because he can go down by 2 and he goes to a 2 cost or even a 1 cost with Quinjet. But I'm trying to think, like, actuality here. If you got a Scar, you would wait to play Devil Dinosaur. Kind of, something like that, right? Like, that would be your only, or that's it. Like, you would like not Loki, you would have to go that route. And Mockingbird's just under Scar. So you couldn't do that. We were talking about a 4-cost Scar. Getting him to 2 would be bonkers. He would be one of the few turn 6 plays, probably.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think he'd be good for sure. Like, there's no doubt about it. I see him being in the Hulk range, either 1 above or 1 under the Hulk. Could even be past Odin, like in terms of consistency.
Yeah, he's interesting, man. It's like, because of course, again, guys, there's so many, 10 power cards. You're just not playing these so much in the decks where Valentina will probably be. That being said, guys, if you remove Loki from this and you're just playing Valentina as like a cable slot, some of these go up a lot, right? Because then you have a Cull Obsidian you're playing and you're getting this power out there, and then you truly have a 2-cost Scar, which as we know would just be a tremendous amount of power. That's like a raft play that they're just not ready for. So Scar's a special case. I think we're trying to visualize where Valentina's most likely going to be in a lot of these. But I definitely don't hate it. I think Collector could get dangerously close to 10 power by the time you play him too. So there's definitely instances there. Spectrum, I kind of really like Spectrum as a 4/4. It's 4 cost, 4 power, and you're able to spread somewhat wide. I'm going through though, again, what you would have Quinjet potentially ongoing. Zabu's dead. You're not going to have Ravonna in these builds. What other ongoing would even be in there?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. Like, I think it's pretty much just Quinjet, isn't it? Well, Devil Dinosaur technically ongoing is making a lot of those decks.
Spectrum's a cool
that's
surprise
pretty much
burst. I feel like she has a lot of cool like surprise bursts behind her. I don't think I would have her. Like I had her like kind of like laying here in B. I would want a Lyth more so.
Yeah, I'd take a Lyth over Spectrum.
Leader, would you want Leader more?
I would probably want Spectrum more than less than Leader, more than Galactus.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that because you could have a. It's weird because you can't build your deck. Man, that's gonna fudge up everything. You can't really build your deck to accommodate this kind of stuff. And you know what? Maybe we've been off the Loki for a while. I played him last when Mockingbird came out, but I can tell you pretty confidently there's not a lot of ongoing cards that you would have in there. But maybe with Kyera or Armor, you know, protecting these cards that you would probably have maybe in these decks anyway. There's something there. And again, back to my point, it's tough when you have like, would you have Cable and Valentina together?
It's entirely possible you would. Not necessarily in a Loki deck, I don't think, but it is entirely possible.
All right, next up is Thanos, and I think we can confidently put Thanos smack dead just on top of Helicarrier. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. Yeah.
So you get 4/7. You're not exactly going to play it. I guess it gives you a play line if you have nothing else, right? And then you just hope to get the Luke Cage later and get him up to a 10, right? Do you like that? Do you like the... I have Thanos just like
perfect.
Riding on top of...
It's Helicarrier now has wings. You turned C into Helicarrier.
It's almost explicit too. Yeah, so I would say yeah, that's about right. What about we go on to Infinite. 4/17.
It's not crazy to skip turn 3 to slam an Infinite down.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of the few where you're like, you don't have Quinns yet. You're like, hey, all good. Dude, who cares about turn 3 if you're getting 17 power? I get the Shang-Chi thing, but woof. That's pretty crazy, huh?
It is pretty crazy. I wonder if he goes above Onslaught. Like, he's definitely an A, right? I think that's a really high potential play.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's S. I don't think he's S because,
no, I don't think he's S either.
You have to skip the turn. He's like the absolute just king of Shang-Chi bait.
What I like him, though, for, like, a lot of situations. Like, let's say you want to play Luke Cage on 3, but then you're like, I'll just skip 4. Like, I'll just play him on 5 then. Like, I feel like there's some situations that could make sense. Maybe Kyera on 3 and then play him down. Like, there's ways to go about it. But playing him and then playing Loki right after him, and then you would have one more play. I don't know. I think Infinite definitely is not... You're not going to be mad about getting a 4/17. No question.
You'll never be mad about a 4/17. No question about that.
Living Tribunal might be... Does he take the crown? He's close. He's close to being one of the worst.
I think Apocalypse is actually worse, but Living Tribunal's close.
Yeah, because Living Tribunal, you're looking at a 4/6. You're splitting power on a deck that has not been built to do so. Niche situations, you're playing at Sanctum and some other location, then you're like, haha, but I can't imagine that being very good at all. We did skip one with the Red Hulk, who with his stat reduction is a 6/6 or 4/6. How high does he go?
I can see him. I mean, if you think about it, you get him on turn 2. He can get pretty big pretty fast. I think he would be an S tier.
I like him.
Like he's going to get bigger than the Hulk under most circumstances. Even if they float energy on turn 2, he's now in your hand, and the end of the turn resolves, and he gets his +4, right? So
I think he's
already
definitely
massive off the top.
Yeah, I mean, like, he gets so much power, so it's just like okay. Like you're looking at. So if he goes down to, let's say 6, right? They skip 3 turns, maybe 2. We'll even say 2 turns. What? That's 8 power on the 6. He's at a 14. It's like,
yeah, he's pretty nuts.
Great, yeah, I would agree. Ultron. Is Ultron F, or is there the scenarios where you're like, I can't even. Let's drone it up.
Ultron on turn 4, Killmonger turn 5, guarantees the free death on turn 6.
Yo, this deck is hot. Coming towards Alex's channel near you. Okay, so then do we go? Do we have him? Your best option?
Ultron bait deck is cracked.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you think there's a world where Ultron can have his drones with 2 power each?
You mean like with like a Blue Marvel?
No. Like his drones have just 2 power.
Like
each.
base?
Base. Has the power gotten to that? Has the power gotten to that now? Because clearly Ultron, like, you can surprise with it, but it's pretty niche. Or does you just
surprise Ultron? We've gone to the well so many times.
Yeah, dude, it's been a while though. I would say, or you'd probably just give him power before that. I mean, what, like a 6'10"?
Nah, you make him a 6'9" for sure, right?
I mean, you're playing him on turn 6, but yeah, I guess no one's gonna be like, they're definitely playing Ultron here. I'm gonna Shang-Chi without priority. And then they would probably lose because then you could Ultron. Dude, that'd be massive.
Ultron, yeah.
So this is it. This is what we're looking at here, guys. And so if you look at Valentina's play line, I would say again confidently Galactus and up. I'm happy about getting maybe leader to Eliathan up being conservative, which is more good cards than bad for sure.
Absolutely. Like I actually agree. Probably leader up. It makes me wonder if Eliath was changed intentionally because of this. Like Valentina's coming out, they're like, well, deleting everything on turn 4, it's going to be pretty damn annoying. Or turn 5, or having a turn like 6 4-costed Eliath deleted their entire board before for -1, which is probably crazy, right? So I can totally see why they made this change and nerfed Eliath prior, changed Eliath, I should say, prior to Valentina coming out. But generally speaking, if you don't hit something you like, Loki it, right? Or just let it feed your double dinosaur. Just don't play it. Like, what do you want?
Is it a 3? So, this is I now that we've done this, right? Because at first it was like top of the head, we said 3-star kind of for Valentina. 3.5? Or is it just 3?
You know what? I mean, everyone except you slept on Pixie. Now Pixie's kind of making a bit of a comeback. It's as random as it gets. And here we are talking about another random card with like 9 dials on it for Glenn to play with.
Yeah, and you have, I feel like it's interesting.
I like it.
You have Quinjet and Luke Cage in a lot of games to make all of these instantly better. Instantly. Like, I love a lot of these. Like, Thanos and up, at least. And some of these still retain the value. Like, Destroyer, you're like, okay, it's still doing what it does. But, like, Thanos, Helicarrier, Arnim Zola at that point, I'm fine with getting. Yeah, Galactus Spectrum. I would say all those are good with the power returned.
Yeah, like, listen, if you have Quinjet and Luke Cage, then it's a totally different conversation, right? Like, it's just it's so much power, but at the same time, it's like, okay, if you have Quinjet and Luke Cage, then you have a 3-costed card you're not playing. Or actually, theoretically, you could play Luke Cage later in the game. Because if it drops it down, like the Hulk, for instance, drop it down to 9 power, protected for Shang-Chi, turn 6 or turn 5, you play down the Luke Cage, have it pop back up.
I like
There's opportunities there for sure. It's just random. It's just random. And like, you're going to be playing a destroy game and you're going to be like, you have that Valentina, you're like, give me null, and you're going to throw it down. It's like, oh, thanks for the hella, bro, I guess.
Yeah, right. So, guys, this is where it ends at. I would say one of those cards. It's going to be more on the fun side of things. Cable can do what she's doing in a lot of the instance of just like the utility in the deck and the synergy options. But definitely going to be fun, and you guys can check out the content on Alex and I's channel on our ultimate, final thoughts there. And then obviously next week we'll give the in review. We're going to move on quickly here because we had a good amount of time there on the patch, buddy. And we had Red Hulk, to nobody's surprise, went down in value quite considerably. I thought they were going to mess with his numbers on the plus that he got, not his base power. Thoughts on Red Hulk?
Listen, I think it makes sense. I think he's still super good. I don't see the 2 power being a negative factor on him. Honestly, I just don't. He's a damn good card, and I think he continues to be. And
I would say, like, I definitely get the camp of, like, why... They said that they thought his cube rate would be worse because people could see it, but why would they release him then and then take him down? Are they doing this, the bait and catch? I don't see it as that because he's still a very good card. But to me, it's one of those. It's one of those Mobius situations. And we said this. It's like we saw from a mile away that this was going to be probably a pretty good card, and just a little head scratch in there. I even said in my video when he came out, like, it's not if, it's when. But yeah, only nerf that we saw. Jean Grey going up to 4. We were saying, man, we were talking about her before, and there she is. What do you think about Jean?
I think it's great. In fact, I think in my video when I talked about the patch, I was like, I bet you Cozy's smiling ear to ear. Finally, it's Jean Grey's time. I mean, listen, I know like you're synonymous with the Arrow love. We know that. But low key, you've always loved Jean. And I would dare to say that Jean Grey might be a deeper love connection than Arrow. I'm just going to say that. I think that you might have a deeper connection with Jean Grey.
The brakes, Alex. You might. It is late, and I get it. But come on, hey, don't talk ill of her right now. She's not here to even defend herself. I think Jean is great. She's like, we had a good thing for a while. We still do. And she goes to 3-5. I'll talk to you then.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, 3-5 Jean Grey's getting
That would be
getting pretty
ridiculous.
toasty, I think.
She's good though. Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, I like the change. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and we're getting more cards like White Widow. Surprisingly, we'll talk about it on your side. Just a fun card with like the style of cards you would play in Jean Grey too, which was kind of cool. Like you could get the Guardians going with her and whatnot. And then we had a couple weird ones. Stature going up. I mean, I think we're all kind of glad to see Stature go back to her state that she was in, and we were kind of clamoring for this for a while. And so definitely, I'm sure you've been playing some Stature in Black Bolt.
Not actually lately. I was playing Stature Black Bolt before the buff, ironically. Then when it got buffed, I was like, I already played a bunch before, so I kind of didn't jump into it. But I do think that, like, I saw a lot of arguments be like, oh, they should have buffed Black Bolt. He's a 5-cost card. But like at the same time, like, do you really want Black Bolt to be a key part of the meta? Like, is that really what you want?
Yeah, we
like,
talked about
you
that.
really want Black Bolt discarding from your hand? Do you want Silver Samurai discarding from your hand? Like, is that really what we're after here? We got Mill doing its thing, and it's pissing everyone. It's pissing me off. Do we really want to make Black Bolt a staple in the meta? Are we forgetting when it was a staple in the meta? Like, buffing Stature is correct because it gives the package additional 1, but discourages just rampant Black Bolt gameplay.
What about our other cards that got adjustment? I know you've been playing loads of Mantis, Alex.
Who?
Yeah, she's a card, right? I think. What does she do? I can't keep up with her anymore.
She puts you to sleep?
She does something. She's won something. What if, like, there's cards like Valentina that are fun and you can play her and it's like, okay, there's a lot of use there. And then there's like Mantis, like, I get it. Like draft mode? Like, that's the thing where, like, draft mode, like, if you had her in your deck just randomly, like, cool, okay, we'll make some sense out of this. You're not picking to put her in the deck, though. There's just no way. There's 12 cards, man.
Yeah, Mantis is an absolute trash heap. I don't care if she can rollerblade. I want nothing to do with Mantis.
Screw the rollerblades. Yeah, Agent, why can't I talk? U.S. Agent. Dude, I actually think he found himself in a nice change alongside the Spectrum deck that's just been popping off, and he's still not, like, he's not tremendous, but he's better.
No, he's not tremendous, but, like, that is a pretty big buff. Like, that 1 power, it can be applied to everything in that location. It can be applied to multiple cards.
Exactly.
That's like a potential, like, 3 power buff at the end of the day. You can't deny the stats at this point.
Yep.
Like, there's something to say about the potential for U.S. Agent. And now we're going into the Affinity Conquest week. If Sarah Control doesn't add this card, then I don't know what will. Like, this is the moment. This is the time where it has a chance this week.
And Valentina, more 6-cost cards out there, even more fodder for him to get out. That was his biggest issue. Jane Foster, you've been known as if I'm a Arrow and Jean Grey, or you are a Chavez and Jane Foster. What do you think about her increase in power?
I liked it. I think it's a very good way of buffing that, like, Asgardian package without, like, doing too much to it.
What happened to that, Pat? You were like Mr. Beta Ray Coccia, and then, like, you just stopped.
Because they changed the Darkhawk. When they changed Darkhawk and everything changed that package altogether, what worked so well was that Zabu package with Beta Ray, with Darkhawk, and then it kind of fell out. I mean, with the buff, people are experimenting again, and we're seeing some decent win rate decks with it, but it's not what it used to be. At the heyday of Zabu Darkhawk, the Asgardian package was absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. That Beta Ray build, man, I have not played Beta Ray build in so long. It was the only deck I played for the longest time. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I was happy to see this buff, to be honest with you.
Well, brother, we've got ourselves the next patch coming soon, which is going to bring clans and then some changes. Meta does feel pretty fresh, though, pretty good still at the moment. A lot of options to go out there. That's going to end us, though, on our segment, and we're headed to our last one here. Favorite cards at every cost. And we'll be quick. I would say say your cards, say your point, and as always, we start at the 1 cost. And Alex, who's been catching your eye? Who have you been playing the most with lately? Starting at 1.
Cozy, at 1 cost, I gotta go with Snowguard. I mean, listen, this was the month I fell back in love with this card. I know it was just in the Spotlight cache once again. And honestly, it's not even just the hand generation for Loki and stuff like that. I'm telling you right now, that damn Hawk is so good. It's so good. It's come to the point where I'm playing the Hawk because I've been playing a lot of Snowguard. I'll play the Hawk when I know I'm going to lose Eternity Range. I'll play the Hawk when I know they're going to win what's the Asgard place that draws 2 cards or whatever the heck it's called?
Asgard.
It's called Asgard. What the hell's wrong with me? Yeah, so you played there and, like, they don't get the effect, right? I really like playing it, like, when I'm playing against a Destroy player and they have, like, Death Domain. I'm like, oh, you're going to play your Deadpool there, aren't you? Boom, close it off, and they put cards there, nothing blows up, and they're all sad. I think that the Snow Guard Hawk and Snow Guard as a whole is probably underappreciated. I love the card.
Yeah, counter to Limbo, and then also it's just like, even the bear, there's like rare opportunities, but like there's sometimes with the bear, you're like, hey, I'll take it. They filled up Monster Island. You didn't. You get an extra card. Whatever. There is ways to use it. So I do agree. I like it. I would say for me, it's Ant-Man, man. I just feel like Ant-Man and his power has been great lately in a lot of ways, and I think it's because we have like Jean Grey, and we've had, you know, that Spectrum deck's just so fun to pop off. You get this guy to a freaking 1/7 is just ridiculous stat lines at that point. And we, as we've said, just best variant with my favorite best 1-cost card.
It's so funny to hear you say that because, like, I was just going to say this variant is absolutely incredible. Him holding a cookie in the air, it's absolutely beautiful, Cozy. And as we move to number 2, I got to tell you, this is the month of Angela. You got to say that Angela's been absolutely remarkable here. And I missed Angela. I missed Angela, honestly. And I think the card's totally fair, and it's a reason to bring Shadow King back into the meta. Angela's been remarkable, and I absolutely love her.
Yeah, I won't pick White Widow. She's too new, like super fun, too new. I'll go Shadow King. I'd like the inverse. I think because the rise of Angela, because Angela's a great pick. Man, Shadow King is just... I put out a video the other day where I'm like, guys, I won this one lane by myself. Should not have won the battle just by Shadow King. Like, he just has so much potential boom and bust for a 2-cost card. It's impossible not to love the King attack. 3-cost, Alex, we got... I'll kick us off. I'll go into it. I think I'm going to finally give love to Storm. And just say, man, in the early days, we were all about her. The location control, the agency to determine when you're done with that location, the combo and the synergistic options here, she was always, why play Jean Grey when you could play Storm? And she still does that role. And I've been playing a lot of C2, which has helped a little bit of my love for her. You know, playing Storm down and playing like, you know, maybe one other card or nothing really. And they think they've won it with, you know, Cerebro 2. And then you Nightcrawler over there. It's just tremendous what she does for a game in Marvel Snap.
It's funny because, like, I have not played as much Storm as I traditionally had, but you released that C2 video, and I was like, all right, Cozy, you got me. I gotta play some C2. And I did, and it was so good. And you're right, though. You're right about Storm being a very confident turn 3 play. And it's the location correction, too, is just remarkable.
Yep.
Like, the ability, like, well, in C3, oh, negative zone, who cares, right? Or C2, sorry, it doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
You play the Storm, you wipe it out. It doesn't, like, it's just so useful. And honestly, in games with Death Domain and others, you could play it to just win that location. I love playing it on what's it called? The Nexus, right?
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities where Storm can be a really cool play. Even later in the game, knock out Limbos on turn 6.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
There's a lot you can do with Storm, so I like that call out a lot. Absolutely remarkable card. And if I can cheat, because you said you weren't going to talk about White Widow, I'm going to go with a little bit of recency for the 3-cost. We've had him for a couple weeks. It's the good old Red Guardian. I got to tell you, Cozy, love this card. I absolutely love it. And I can't wait to do our like monthly review next week because I'm going to gush on Red Guardian. I've loved this card. I've put him into multiple decks. Any card that just fits into my Surfer deck is just fine by me. But this has had such a consistent floor for me. I feel like Red Guardian always has a hit, always has an impact, almost never feels bad to play, and has game-winning potential as well. This card has been my favorite at 3 costs without question.
You know what? It's a good point. If you look at like White Widow's tough, but Red Guardian and now Valentina, 2 great cards. We don't even have Valentina, but what I love about this is they're great. They don't necessarily are like, you need red. You don't have to have Red Guardian. There's other answers, but he does something so unique and fun and good. And I think that Red Guardian and even Valentina, speaking early, like you can cable, you can do other tech cards in Red Guardian, but they do a really nice role in the decks that they play in. So I agree, man. Good pick there on 3. 4-cost here, man. Kind of 4-cost. They're all like, I like them. They're good. You know, I play most of these in different decks. I wanted to, you know, lean a couple ways. I think I'm going to go with Super Scroll because of the meta at the moment. There's been a lot of maybe this is super recency bias, but man, I was playing like this weekend so much of that. People were playing the Spectrum deck on myself, and I'm like, screw it, man. I'm going to Super Scroll, which is dangerous territory with White Widow out there and absorbing that effect. But man, getting the Mojo, getting the Ant-Man, getting the Omega Red, he's just a fun card.
I don't think there's anybody in Marvel Snap that has been consistently enamored with Super Scroll. You might love Super Scroll more than you love Arrow.
No, oh my God. We don't have time. No time. No
Can
time.
turn into Arrow. And Super Skull can turn into Jean Grey.
She's on reveal.
Buddy.
She's on reveal. Arrow is. You don't even know her. You don't know her like I do.
It's true. I'm sorry. I've crossed the line. I need to apologize publicly to Cozy Snap. 4 costs for me. It's Loki. It's Loki. This card, I feel like, is being completely underappreciated in most MMRs. I feel like people aren't talking about Loki. At the very high end, I think people are playing a lot of it. But this card is just so good. And I mean, it goes hand in hand with the Snow Guard I just finished talking about too. I think Loki's in a great spot. I really do. I'm not seeing as much Mobius and Mobius, right? During the Spectrum kind of heyday that we saw, that like little brief meta, I think that Mobius and Mobius was in a lot of those decks, and that really does negatively impact Loki. But I think Loki really makes players nervous. And the more you play it too, like I've been playing more and more of it, like do I Loki on turn 4? Do I Loki on turn 5 for that turn 6 miracle play where now maybe I've snapped and now they're like, oh man, did he get my null? Did he get my death? Did he get my... I think Loki adds a lot of question marks into the head, has higher snap equity than people give it credit for, and I love the card. I think it's doing great.
Love it, man. Going to 5 cost, I'm going to give Darkhawk my 5 cost award. I think, you know what? I don't think he's as bad. He's not what he was. I totally get it, but there are definitely decks that he's playable in, and it's not even just about the Hawk, man. I love just the Korg into Rockslide, into Hawk, knowing you've put the disruption out there. It still feels good. And they've ruined the relationship of him and Mystique. That was one of my favorite things to do and one of my favorite combos. You can still pull it off with the 5 and the 6 play. But man, yeah, I'm going to give it to Darkhawk because I had some fun with him, especially in a White Widow, Black Widow deck that I did on the Arrival of Widow.
This is one of those cards that since the nerf, I've barely played.
Yeah,
like,
I did too. Until
right
recently.
after the nerf, I tried to make some magic happen. I was like, man, it's just, everything felt awkward and it didn't feel like traditional Darkhawk, right? And so like, I would love to fall back in love with this card. I like the gameplay style. I like that disruption element of the Korg, the rock slides, and everything along those lines. It's just not the same to me. But apparently, statistically, it's actually not doing that bad. The nerf has not destroyed it that bad. Maybe there's like a dedicated group of Darkhawk gamers out there holding it up, because for me, it has not felt the same.
What's your 5?
My 5, I gotta tell you, it's been Lady Deathstrike. During this past week, Lady Deathstrike's been a chance to like really just pay back those gamers who are just trying to throw all the green gobs and the what's the Widow's Kiss on the other side. I'm like, no, like, just wipe it out, right? I think LDS has been really good, and even against a lot of those like in the ongoing games, we keep bringing up the ongoing decks, but those had a lot of really inexpensive cards, and LDS just came in and wiped them all out, wiped out the Wongs, wiped out the Ant-Mans, just cleaned up the board in a way that I really appreciated. Moreover, if you didn't have like if they're playing like the they're playing the Annihilus package, so they have Hood or they have like the Void set up on the other side, and you don't have an answer for that Void, you can LDS and just wipe the Void out and take away that play that they were planning on. Really liked LDS this past month.
Yeah, now she works with Jean Grey. Kind of fun because Jean went up to 4, and it's it's great, right? You don't have to worry about killing your own Jean. 6 costs, I'm short and quick because it's Spectrum, because of what I've just listed off of the deck, of Jean Grey, of Ant-Man, and this variant's just freaking badass. I love it, man. What's your 6?
For me, I mean, I feel bad saying it because I don't want to just... I don't want to say Red Hulk because like it's like... But it is kind of Red Hulk. Like, this card made every deck better. It needed to get nerfed. But this is one of those cards that came out and made every deck better. And even in the patch note, when they discussed that, like, we said the exact same thing on our show. We said, hey, the fact that it's revealing in the hand should negatively impact snap equity. Like, the cube equity should be lower because it's revealing the hand. Who the hell is going 8 cubes knowing that they have a Red Hulk? Or, like, knowing that you have initiative, you can't even show it. Apparently, people were, right? This card had a fantastic cube rate, and I don't think the nerf is taking it out of the meta at all. Red Hulk, I think, was a tremendous release this month, and it's got to be one of the top 6 drops of the month for sure.
Definitely fun. Love that we always keep it unique each month, man, and there's usually always different answers for the most part, guys. Good luck out there with Valentina. She's going to certainly be fun, and can't wait to recap all the cards together in Alex's next week. But this week, we're going to be talking about White Widow in review, the top 10 must-have cards, and as always, the Snapchat mailbag, guys. Remember to always charge your batteries on your boat, and until that next one, happy snapping.